So, if you all know Chad of the early titles from a little series called The Legend of Zelda, you may recognize this style of top-down action adventure. And Snowball is here to show off how fast it can be done, even when she doesn't know quite know what's coming. This is Lenna's Inception perfect ending, blind seeded by SnowballSMB. You are up.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Snowball, and this is Lenna's Inception. Cool little indie roguelike action adventure game that plays a lot like the early Legend of Zelda games, with a very heavy randomizer element to it, and a whole lot of really cool things that are completely intended gameplay that I'll get into once we get to Dungeon 8. This will be blind seeded, so I won't know most of what's happening. I say most of because there is a small handful of things that never gets randomized in the game. So I will touch on what some of those are pretty early in the run. So I'll give a quick countdown and then we will be off in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So, not a bad boss order at all. The order in which Lenna's students are seated at their tables on that first screen of the game actually will tell me what the boss order is going to be. Very interesting Elder's Cave location. It's dangerous to go alone. I'm sure he's fine. Ideally speaking, he will be by the end of the run, so... This is Lance, he's the hero kid. We have to go teach him how to do that. So we're gonna take him to Dungeon 1. But Dungeons 1 and 8, the only thing that's ever randomized about them is their layouts. Also Dungeon 1, I guess, you could say the, environment of the dungeon is also randomized. Let's see. I'm very not good at these puzzles, so let's see if I can't do this well, which I apparently cannot. Give me a minute. I've never been good at these. I don't know why. Alright, here we go. First item room. We're trying to teach Lance how to use the sword. That rectangle there that just fell on him is called 8 Fridge. We'll be seeing 8 Fridge quite a bit throughout the run. In every dungeon's item room. Unfortunately, Lance is not doing so hot. It's a much bigger if you'll be doing better by the end of the run. Because sometimes Lance just decides he doesn't want to make it to the end of the run. I don't know why. But we're gonna take his phone and the sword and the power of fortitude. I need... Oh, that's right, I found 100 bill. I don't need to look for money. Usually you have to look for money so that way you get 1 coins. But... Where's the shop? The shop's... another down to the left. You need 20 coins so that way you can buy a tunic from this guy right here. He's Andres the Bear. He usually does not like to bless runs. Defense tunic's okay. Could have been a lot worse. Alright, also think that I know where the bridge is going to be. The bridge takes us to the east side of the island and to the back 4 dungeons. This is Paige, she's the librarian. She's gonna tell us where dungeons 2, 3, and 4 are. She's also going to maybe help. I say maybe because she is one of the west side of the island side quest characters. And since this is perfect ending, we need to do all the side quests so that way we can get some very special items that we can give to the dungeon bosses. You may have noticed that in Dungeon 1, I got the items from the item room and then immediately left. There are 2 reasons why I did that. One reason is because this is perfect ending, so I do need to get those items from the side quests. The other reason has to do with Dungeon 8's dungeon item. As I mentioned earlier, the sort of bosses and item rooms for 1 and 8 are always the same. And Dungeon 8's item allows backtracking to be a breeze. Now we're into dungeon number 2. I think if I'm remembering correctly, this was Swim. Which is good, because, I cannot go that way. Dungeons 4 through 8, the boss fights are 2 phases instead of 1. And the boss of the Swim dungeon has an incredibly long second phase on the 2-phase fight. Actually the longest second phase of any of the dungeon bosses. So getting her out of the way in one of the 1-phase dungeons is always really nice. An unfortunate sort of side effect of just the way a couple of the dungeon items work is you cannot get the item that lets you jump before Swim, because otherwise you'd be able to sequence break rather easily in certain situations, because you need the most recent dungeon item that you got to get to the next dungeon through the overworld. And being able to jump would let you jump over some water that would otherwise block it. So the earliest that the jump item and boss can show up is Dungeon 3. So having her 1-phase fight is very rare, and unfortunately we won't be seeing it this time. She is in Dungeon 4 though, so I will be able to jump much earlier than usual. Also, outside of Dungeon 1, I got an item that was the bicycle. That's our fast travel item. And I did not mean to summon the chicken. You might notice whenever I open up the map, there are 2 spots on the map that I can fast travel to currently. The room that is directly 1 room south of the boss room in a dungeon, you can fast travel to. So having that room already just sort of marked on the map is really good info to have. Now we have the lighter, which is an absolutely fantastic item to get early, because this lets me dash. So it's great for speeding things up. There is a really cool technique that you can do with it that I am too scared to learn. That pretty much lets you bonk and jump in a specific way that lets you jump up these cliffs. But it's a very advanced technique. I should learn it at some point, because I'm the 2nd place runner and I would love to get more world records in this game, but it's super hard and I would probably need that chick to be able to do anything. I'm going to get rid of this guy real quick to see if the book drops. Nothing. Okay, so that enemy that I just beat is called a Pyromelian. We call them Lizrobes. They're very annoying, especially when they show up in item rooms, because as soon as you either hit one or it sees you, it will breathe a little fireball and then teleport. In the item rooms, you will see different colored variants of the just regular enemies sprinkled throughout the game. Depending on what color they are, they will have a different sort of special buff. I need to check something real quick. Okay. That's very useful information to have. I will get on that in a moment. Another thing that the item room... Dang it, these are hovering, so I can't push them in the hole. Another thing that the item room enemies have that regular enemies don't is double health. So, as you can imagine, Lizrobes in item rooms get very annoying very quickly. But I have knowledge of where both the secret room and the boss room are in Dungeon 4, and that is very, very big to have this early. Dungeons 4 through 8 have secret rooms in them that have special items. And it just so happens that I need one of those items, because one of the secret room items, you get one use of it, but it will one-shot whatever you hit with it. And that includes one of the 3 final bosses that is a 4-phase fight that is incredibly difficult. One shot, that's it. But again, you can only use it once, so that is a pretty big trade-off. Also, yeah, I didn't comment on that guy. He's the chairman of the bank. He's not a good guy. He's gonna go take over the palace now. This is Delvin. He's also not the greatest guy going, but he shows us where the next full dungeons are, so there's that. That's literally the only useful contribution he does to society. Alright, 1 up. Also, something that I did not comment on about the west side is there's a pretty big chunk of it that is a graveyard, and that's important for finding overdue library books. Because sometimes there will be overdue library books under tombstones that you can push. Paige the librarian wants us to find a grand total of 12 library books. And 4 of the 16 that spawn on every seed are in fixed locations. So I will be able to... I effectively need to find 8 of the 12 random books. Ideally, that won't be... ideally, I'll find more than 8, because that just makes things a lot simpler. Also, I keep setting myself on fire, don't worry about that. Alright. This is not the greatest Dungeon 5 layout, but it's perfectly fine. There's nothing, like, overly challenging about it. It's just sort of long. And I also had a 50-50 early on and guessed wrong, which happens a lot in this game. I wasn't actually paying attention to when strength shows up. I hope... Oh, that's gonna be D7. The only Dungeon 8 boss that I made a mental note of when looking at the boss order at the start of the run was when the bow is going to be. Which is very scary to see the bow in one of the 2-phase dungeons, because that means the boss Krabatin has a 2-phase fight, and his 2-phase fight is drastically harder than the others, in my opinion. Alright, I have bombs now, that's good. Once I get the bow, I will be able to use bomb arrows, which is fantastic. Bomb arrows are incredibly powerful, and also make dealing with an enemy type coming up very, very soon, gray crabs, significantly easier to deal with, because, unfortunately, gray crabs can just dodge your sword, like nobody's business. But if a gray crab is up against the wall and you shoot a bomb arrow into that wall, it won't be able to dodge the explosion, so you'll be able to take care of them very, very quickly. And as soon as I get the bow, I'll be able to use that. Alright, this is a side quest character I need, the Traveling Merchant. He's going to give me a tunic and a water potion that I bought, which I will need to give to the thirsty person, who I've not found just yet on the west side. Doing pretty good on just books falling from the sky in convenient locations. Alright, helmets. Each dungeon has a small handful of different layouts that it can pull from. Dungeon 6 can be one of either... one of either helmet or rocket ship, and I feel like they're both about as convenient. I'm gonna blow up that lens robe, because easier, that's the meteorite, we don't need that. There will always be a meteorite spawn in a dungeon, and then everything else is useful. Like, the map is not necessary, but it is useful. Oh wait, I just realized this is starting on left side of helmet, I'm not used to that. The keys are incredibly useful, and decent portion of the time, I don't have strength yet. Multiple keys will be necessary. Like, this blue key I need in order to find the item room. So... part of me wants to take out that gray snail in that dead-end room, but it's not really worth it. Dead-end rooms like that, sometimes books can spawn, but I'm doing fine enough on books that I don't want to waste my time with an enemy that takes 5 hits to defeat. Alright, here we go. Finally found the item room. This is a pretty big, Dungeon 6. And that was a great grab. It was also on fire, but just throwing bombs at it does the trick. Now, Dungeon 7. Dungeon 8 is pretty close to where I've been, but unfortunately, we don't go directly to Dungeon 8. Much like Dungeon 4, you need a different character to drop you into just the middle somewhere of the dungeon, and I don't know if I've ever seen 3 books fall from the sky as soon as just I entered a screen. That's really nice. 7 already. Okay, that's not good. There's a chance that you will have one dungeon from 1 through 7 on a seed be a forest. Forest dungeons are very bad. I need to be paying close attention to the walls, because finding... this is really bizarre. Finding the layout, or the secret room on forest layouts is very, very difficult. Like, significantly harder than most... not most, all. All other types of dungeons. Also, I did not realize that I could go down. I misread the map here. It's probably going to... yep. Accidentally going the wrong way at the start actually paid off, because then I was able to grab that blue key probably a lot easier than I would have gotten otherwise. I really wish that I had the strength amulet or bracelet or whatever it is by now, because I could be dealing with these snails a lot faster. Because when snails are curled up in their shell and you have the strength item, you can actually pick them up. And once they're picked up, they count as defeated, and you can just throw them into the wall to instantly defeat them. This is not ideal. The only good thing that I have to say about this Dungeon 7 is the fact that it's Moon. Moon is a very favorable layout for finding the secret room. So if I need it here, it shouldn't be that hard to find. Alright, now I've got the green key, now I can head back. Oh, that's a awkward trek back, but it should be fine. I was hoping, because there was a room almost immediately blocked off by the strength item, I was really, really hoping that, that meant it was going to be, like, either a 1 key or maybe even a 0 key D7. Alas, I got my hopes up for nothing. But I'm getting a lot of useful information for the backtrack, and I know where the boss is, so that's really nice. Are you the map? Actually, I can answer that. Yes, this is going to be the map in this room, so I definitely want to take that. Yeah, go up against those trees, thank you. Okay, so this next one is going to be the item room. Yep, because there was only one other item that I had not found, and it's gonna be the red key, which is what I need to get into the boss room. So, now I can finally pick things up. 17 and a half minutes into the run, IGT. Oh, that's really nice. I only have to go a couple screens to get to Dungeon 8. Here we go. This is the research lab. The scientist guy here got trapped in his basement. Even though he can just canonically jump around the block that is supposedly locking him down here. Or at least one of them. The layout of the lab is also fixed every time, so once you learn the movement, it's pretty straightforward to get around. Now we're going to go upstairs. He's going to tell us that his research assistant turned his earthquake machine against him and trapped him in the basement. I am going to walk outside and back through the door to set the warp point there for backtracking purposes. And one of the overdue library books will always be on his bookshelf, which I find to be mildly funny because Professor Maxwell and Paige the librarian are, I believe, pen pals. So I find that to be very amusing. But now we are into Dungeon 8. That was a costly mistake walking into the room because then the door locked behind me, but that's fine because I can group a bunch of these gray crabs up and take out multiple at once. And now I won't have to deal with them later. But I think we've got some time for messages from the host while I just flail around in Dungeon 8 for a little while looking for a very funny item.
Yeah, I will let you do that. Quick update on that Pokemon Crystal Boy versus Girl bid war. Currently, Girl is in the lead with $105 donated towards it. It seems to be a pretty significant crowd favorite. But if you want to affect that bid war, the time limit to do so is the beginning of that run, and Pokemon Crystal's right after Lenna's Inception, so it's coming up pretty soon here. Exclamation mark donate in chat. Any donations towards that bid war also automatically go towards the Catch the Lake Shiny milestone incentive for the same run. And of course, all donations go towards supporting Trainer Anade and the request for Catch.
Oh, this is one of the Dungeon 8s that I have played. I had to go a decent amount just to find what I'm assuming is going to be the blue key here. Alright, Paige is going to give us a phone call now that we found 8 books. Complete with very cheesy puns that I just mashed over. I don't have any bombs, and that's very unfortunate because the wall is all glitchy in Dungeon 8. It's very easy to tell where the secret room is because the wall that's like you can blow up and go to the secret room for in Dungeon 8 is always not glitchy. So that tiny piece of wall there is the entrance to the secret room, but I don't have any bombs because it costs a lot of bombs to deal with as many gray crabs as there have been. I'm gonna try to push that Skelly Jouster in the hole. Going to go in the hole like an absolute gentleman. I did find a couple bombs, so I will try to grab that once I get the item. Because I did set a warp point with that ladder in that one room earlier. So I can warp back pretty close to the secret room, which is very, very nice. Is this gonna be the map? It's either the map or the... Wait, I can pick you up. Alright, good, map. Fascinating layout. All things considered, this DA is not actually, like, that bad. It started out much worse than it's going to end. And I am going to tactfully fall down that hole, grab the glasses, and... everything that you are about to see me do with these glasses is intended gameplay. Well, I can just keep going straight south because the entrance is right here. So yeah, you can screen wrap with the glasses. Not only is this intended gameplay, but it is also required gameplay. So now I'm going to go to the palace, which is, for some reason, over here. Usually it's in one of the last, 3 columns on the east side, not always. Sometimes the glitched city goes a bit further. Go over, up, and up. The palace's layout is another one of the few locations in the game where, its layout is never randomized. And I will check these 2 tombstones just in case. You never know when you'll stumble upon a good old book. I do need to take out these 2 enemies here, though, because if I don't, then that door on that passageway won't open. Same deal here. I have to take out these enemies. The way that you get to the 3rd one is pretty cool movement, in my opinion. Screen wrap, around, jump, and you're up here. And now I just have to wind my way to the end of the palace, but just like all of the other dungeons, I will be leaving as soon as I grab, in this case, the green key, because the green key is the key that takes you to the final boss rush of the like 3 final bosses. So now I need to just backtrack, and I need to find quite a few side quest characters. I don't need to find many more books. I think I only need 1 more. Alright, there's Zoologist. That's a good find.
Hey, Snowball, while you're doing that, can I give a quick incentive update?
Sure thing.
Alright, so we have a $25 donation from Codebreaker with no comment, thank you very much. And with that, we have met $270, and that is the Pokemon Crystal Randomizer Catch the Lake Shiny incentive met. So that is Limey going to go catch Red Gyarados in the Lake of Rage when that run happens in just about half an hour here. So definitely be sure to catch that.
That's awesome. I love shiny Pokemon, so that makes me very happy. Alright. I gotta think through how I want to go about getting to the Traveling Merchant again. Because he was in a very awkward spot there. I think I need just the Strange Cave and the Woodcutter, if I'm remembering correctly. As usual, the city had quite a handful of side quest characters. Potter and Tunley, one of the Traveling Merchantiles, the Naked Bear, and the Zoologist were all there, which is very, very convenient. But where are these last 2 hiding? Alright, I'll fill in this next row down here. Or maybe not. Alright, let's just go to D7 and work our way around like that. I do need to check this screen, nothing there. This is the part of the run that I always consider to be quite a headache, because this is the part of the run where, like, I feel like the biggest amount of time loss due to randomness can happen. But fortunately, oh, hey, there's the Strange Cave. Fortunately, the glasses minimize that extraordinarily well because of just how quick screen wrapping is. And there is the Woodcutter. I'm going to screen wrap to get to. Now, I need to find a secret with the axe, which is not hard. I can actually do that once I go back to talk to the traveling merchant again. But first, I need to do some west side of the island side quest shenanigans. I need to find the thirsty person, I need to find the Three Bears cottage, and I need to find... How in the world do you get to that tile down there? And I need to find Creepy Jack. So... nothing there. Alright, cool. I'm going to go down to, because I feel like this tile could have something. No, alright. I feel like I get snuck up on by tiles like that a lot, so I wanted to just check that one as early as possible and not get majorly outplayed by the map. Alright, there's Creepy Jack. That's really useful. I'm going to take that tunic. Hopefully this is something good. Healing is alright. I think I will actually switch back to defense, though. I think defense is a little bit better. Just because the rate at which you heal back HP with the healing tunic is a little bit slow. At least slower than I would like it to be. For, like, really good use. Where is this thirsty person? I will check these tombstones real quick for books. That's a skeleton, that's a potion. I don't think that's what I'm looking for. None of those look like books to me. Alright. Fortunately, I'm also running out of tiles that I have not checked yet, so sooner or later, we will find these last side quest characters. And fun fact about the Three Bears cottage, that will be the one instance of actually using a glitch in the run that is completely unintended. Alright, there's the thirsty person. That's a good find. And now I need just the Three Bears cottage, which... where in the world is this place? Let's try down. I really want to show off this fancy little glitch, but Three Bears are elusive this seed. Alright, let's go over this way. And the Three Bears special of being on the last screen, the last screen that I checked. Alright. So now we have to play a hide-and-seek minigame with Goldilocks, but fun fact about how this works, it doesn't check to see which screens Goldilocks has left, it just checks to see how many screens Goldilocks has left. How many times a screen has been left by Goldilocks. I'm always really bad at explaining this. But if you screen wrap out of bounds and then change screens, even though it's the same screen, a couple of times, you'll spawn a couple extra Goldilockses, and this happens. So instead of having to play 3 screens of that, just standing in the void, we only play 1, and now I need to go to the office to trade that paper clip that the thirsty person gave us for a lovely little pen. We're gonna give the pen to Creepy Jack so that way he can forge us a property deed that we need to give to a skeleton. Now I need to go pick up Paige from the library, and while I am doing that, I am also going to screen wrap into her bedroom because she has one of the overdue library books. I don't know if she knows that she does, but there we go. Now, to the guild. Actually, that's not true. I need to make a phone call to Tressa. Tressa is the little sister of Potter and Tunley. They were worried about her because she hadn't come back in a while. The guy outside of the strange cave told us that what her phone number is, and so we called her. She was like, The librarian might find me if I talk too loud. Paige is like, she was looking for books on finances, so go to the bank, find out some useful information there. Now we have her mom's phone number, and when we call her mom, which I think I did already? Hopefully I did. She'll tell us that Tressa is in a dungeon. So next time I enter a dungeon, Tressa will show up and give us one of the items that we need. Now, this bank is a totally legit place. I'm going to deposit 1,000 coins, withdraw 999, and then try to withdraw that last one, and he's going to be like, you can't withdraw more than good old 999, which very shady if you ask me. But now we're going to go to Andres the Bear, because he is selling one of the books, and now I will buy some healing potions. One thing that is never randomized about Andres the Bear's shop is he will always be selling one of the books, and the first potion that he is selling will always be healing, which is really convenient. Now let's see here. How do I go about doing this in the most efficient way possible? There's not really an efficient way to do this, I see. So that's a really awkward screen that the traveling merchant decided to be on. So what I'm gonna do here is I am going to screen wrap down one, and then go over this way. Talk to him, give him the briefcase that the skeleton gave us. And he's gonna give us his shirt. Alright, he's a couple screens up. Screen wrap. I would love to do the secret there, but I'll do the secret here. I did not catch exactly where that is. I'll have to look in the side quest thing. I was mashing too quickly. Alright, now we do that. And the woodcutter gives us a glitched log. Where was this guy gonna be again? Alright, that's one south of the bridge. Very convenient. Now he's gonna give us a fancy book. That's one of the things we need. Now we need to find the naked bear, which is over this way. So that way we can give him a shirt. He's gonna give us a bear claw that we need to go and give to the zoologist, who's going to give us the binoculars. And then I should be at 5 of the items now. Yes. Alright, now off to the strange cave. I am going to get to the second wave twice. No, 3 times total. And grab some of these marshmallows, because Paige wants 10 marshmallows, so that way we can do a cute little thing that I'm going to unfortunately skip. But the 10 marshmallows is for a cute little campfire scene that is filled with Yuri goodness that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite moments in the game. Unfortunately, it is faster to mash through the cutscene like everything else. I am going to now equip the axe here, and healing potions here, put the lighter back in place, and now we are just sort of off for the various waves of the Strange Cave Arena. So, any host messages, and now is the perfect time.
Absolutely. So, with the Catch the Lake Shiny milestone met, we actually have a new one now open. This one for the run after that. This is the Jet Set Radio Future Co-op Bingo bonus board. If met, Vane and Shovelclaws will take their 1v1, put 2 and 2 together, and collaborate as a team on one bingo board to satisfy each objective. This is going to be a bonus run after the main run. It's currently set at $375 cumulative, a full $100 past what we have now, but we have a couple runs to get there. And chat, I think we can do it. Exclamation mark donate in chat, of course, as always, to put your money towards that milestone, and maybe you can still donate to that gender bid war as well.
Use a healing potion so that way I don't die on the snail wave. Unfortunately, I don't have a speed tunic or strength tunic, so the Strange Cave is like a full minute slower. Usually, there are two types of tunics that stand above the rest by a pretty drastic margin. Those being strength and speed. Strength tunics, I believe it's double your attack strength, and speed tunics make you go real fast. Usually, if you are able to find a speed tunic, finding the dungeon with the lighter early isn't as important, because your base movement speed is just that much higher than usual. Also, I'm going to do something with the boss order that I normally don't do. I'm going to actually do the west side bosses much earlier. I'll do Hadasaya first, like I always do, because that's just convenience. But first we need to do this. And now I will say, slight flashing lights warning. We are about to enter the boss rush, and anytime you hit one of the bosses, they flicker a little bit. So just be a little bit mindful of that, if that is an issue for you. Let's use that. Let's grab the Power of Compassion. And yeah, let's start with D8. So now, there's Tressa. She's going to give us a thing that we need. That's all 8 items, and Hadasaya was not in a convenient location. Checks out. Please screen wrap. Thank you, Lenna. Over 2 more. And now let's just go down. I will be having the glasses active at all times during these bosses, and there is actually a reason for that. I don't know how much it affects a handful of the bosses, but some of them actually are sped up slightly by the glasses being active at all times. The biggest example of this is going to be the boss of the dungeon that we got bombs from, Tentaluchis. He is actually significantly sped up by the glasses. Honestly, pretty cool. But Hadasaya is unfortunately a very lengthy fight, and there's not really anything to do to speed her up. Her one-phase fight, I believe, is the only one-phase fight in the game that takes only 2 hits to clear. However, it's pretty auto-scrollery to get to each of those 2 hits, because she has to cycle through a ton of different attacks first. These little diamonds that she's dropping out of her hat are actually bats. They just look funny because the glasses are open, so it makes a ton of stuff look all glitchy. The only thing that doesn't look glitchy is this tile over here, but that's because there is actually a glitch tile there. So if I did not have the glasses open, I would not be able to walk over that tile. Now, I hope that she's going to be close enough to this wall. One hit. She's going to yell and drop a downpour of bats on us, and then scream again. And now we'll use the Power of Compassion to end the fight without fighting, and give her a present. And now she left. So, perfect ending, you have to spare all 8 of the dungeon bosses. And now, little spoilers of the plot that's found out after Dungeon 8. It turns out that Lenna is actually the mother of the Archangels, and Delvin, the guy that we met on the bridge a while ago, he turned Lenna human and scrambled everyone's memories and empowered the chairman and all this really bad stuff with the power of his creation, 8 Fridge. So, we gotta stop him. Which is exactly what we are going to do. So I forgot exactly how far up the secret room was, but that's fine, because I can just push those guys in a hole, and that is not the item I'm looking for, which is very unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Now, let's see here. Screen wrap over here, that is perfect. That is a void, which means the boss is right here. we've got the murder tabby, Archangel Catseal. She is pretty straightforward fight. She's gonna jump over here, gonna jump over the monitor, and pretty much keeping her on the right wall like this whenever she does her jump attack is going to mean that when her second phase starts, she will be locked in that place because her second phase, she cannot move. And what this does is it pretty much guarantees that the memory token is going to drop in the center of the room, which is very convenient. Now, there's going to be probably a very familiar pattern that we have to hit this joystick in to some gamers. Alright. The risk to having the glasses active at all times during Catseal's second phase is the rate that she will drop bats from the ceiling is way higher. So there are a lot more hazards. But unfortunately, the item was not there, which makes me very scared because Dungeon 7 is a forest. It is a very favorable layout for the current situation, though. So that's not actually all bad. I am going to, real quick, equip the axe just to speed this room up a bit because I want to screen wrap around the top here. Interesting. Alright. Back it up. I think I know roughly where he has to... Oh wait, no, this is... it would have helped if I looked at the map. This is the one that I found the tile one south of the boss earlier. Whoops! This is why it always helps to read your maps. This is Archangel Santaquiel, giver of unwanted gifts. It is a little bit unfortunate that he was not Dungeon 4, because if he was in Dungeon 4, then he would have been a two-phase fight, and you can spare him literally as soon as the second phase begins, because his second phase, you hit him once and the fight's over. But the first phase, you can actually spare him really early on, so that is also pretty convenient. Now, if I had to guess, either... Yeah, it has to be top. Looking at what rooms you can move horizontally out of. So this is Sandolphin. Pretty lengthy one-phase fight. This is also the boss that I was mentioning earlier, has the longest second phase of any of the bosses in the game, so it is very nice that she's only one phase this time around. Now I need to hit her 2 more times. Now 1 more time, and then when the raft comes along the top of the room again, I need to be very careful not to accidentally hit her and spare her instead. And away we go. Also, something that I need to be very careful of is to not open the map too quickly after grabbing the memory token, because if I do, then I run the risk of first framing. And what first framing is if you open the map on the first frame after picking up the memory token, then the cutscene of said memory that is linked to that token will play anyway. If you wait a couple seconds to open the map and then warp back to the entrance, then you'll just skip the cutscene, and that is exactly what we want to do. Let's see, who is left now? Krabatin, Hydranial, and Tentaluchis. So you know what? I am going to actually use a healing potion now. Let's go do Dungeon 5 next. No, let's do Dungeon 6 because I want to do 5 and 7 at the same time, or like back to back, because, fun little fact, you can use bombs to speed up the fight against the strength boss, Hadraniel. Because, I'll get into the reason when we get to that fight. Where is this room going to be? This is always part of the hunt for that special secret room, is trying to figure out where exactly it's going to be. Oh, hey, there's a book. Let's try... I should actually probably try the top row. Let's go up here. I need to be careful, though, because the boss room is probably also on the top row. It almost always is on helmet. Alright, now down. Let's try over here. Helmet is... Honestly, I think I prefer Rocket Ship a little bit more, just because I feel like Helmet, it's a lot harder to sort of, like, keep track of where you have gone or haven't gone, and that's unfortunate. So now there's a 50-50 chance that the item that I need is going to be in that forest dungeon, which is far from ideal. But now, this is the hardest fight that actually I'm going to be playing, because I'm going to use that secret room item to skip the 4-phase fight that's really hard towards the end of the run. This first phase you may look at and think, wow, this is laughably easy, and it is. First phase Kerbaden is a total pushover. Second phase Kerbaden is an absolute nightmare. He will just fake you out any chance he gets. And if you don't have a speed tunic, it's really lengthy time loss. Even if you do, it's very hard to catch back up if he decides that he's not going to go all the way over to the side of the room and then gear up to fire a projectile. Alright, there we go. That was a very smooth Kerbaden, though. Kerbaden playing nice. You don't see that every day. But now we have 2 fights left. One is decently length. The other is pretty quick. So let's do Tintaluchis first. That'll also help with my bomb count. Not that that's an issue for Hadraniel, but it is always just nice to up the bomb count. Please be in this dungeon. Alright, let's try going on the right side first. And up. Thank goodness. That's the old revolver. One shot, and it will one-shot whatever it hits. So, yeah, very, very, very happy that I found that in this dungeon and wouldn't have to try to throw something together, because with the forest dungeon, instead of a void that you pass through when you're screen wrapping, it's a bunch of trees, and you cannot move through the trees. They are solid objects. So screen wrapping in forest dungeons is way harder. But this is Tintaluchis. He is very sped up by the glasses. Also, by lining up the very middle of Lenna's sprite with the center of Tintaluchis, that skips a like 15-second attack that he does, where he will, that sort of drill attack that he does where he rushes down at me, usually he bounces around the room, like an old DVD loading screen. But for some reason, if you're standing in the dead center of the room, he'll just skip that most of the time. I say most of the time because he'll still do that occasionally if he wants to. So now he's a UFO and he's shooting orbs of energy at us, and now he'll try to use the tractor beam. In like sacrifice ending, when you have to defeat him, you would throw a bomb in the tractor beam and that would blow him up. But since this is perfect ending, we fortunately don't have to do that, and I'm forgetting where Dungeon 7 is. Now, if I remember correctly, yeah, this is actually pretty solid. For a boss location, I should have screen wrapped to the other side of the room for just a little bit faster movement, but that's fine. Now we go up. So the way Hydranial works is you have to throw an item back at him that you picked up. But if you spawn a bomb, drop a bomb, and then pick it up again, that also counts. Which is very, very handy. So, little bit of tech that Pentaluchis unknowingly helps us with. Now we're going to pick him up, throw him down the hole, and now the second phase is going to start. He's going to throw 6 skulls and then summon geysers of lava. And after the first set of lava geysers goes off, then I will be able to use the power of compassion. And that is all 8 dungeon bosses. So now it's going to be off to the palace. There's one kind of mini-boss room with 2 skeletons, Edgar and Alan. They are very fast-paced skeletons with battle axes and crowns, and the axe absolutely shreds them. After that, we will be fighting the 3 final bosses, the Chairman, and then Delvin. I say fighting Delvin loosely. And then 8 Fridge. And 8 Fridge is probably my favorite fight in the entire game. So, I am going to save. There's always a prompt before going into the room with the Chairman. The game's like, you want to save your progress. I like to do that during marathons just in case something very tragic happens, like an exceedingly rare, like rarer than a shiny Pokemon rare game crash. Or if I somehow manage to miss the shot with the revolver on Delvin, which also has fortunately only ever happened to me once. But yeah, this is Capitalist Pig, Chairman Mammon / Chairman Gammon. Whenever he turns red, I immediately jump at him, and then he'll punch me across the room. This skips his attack that is his herd of cash cows. It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a herd of cows made out of gold coins. And then he'll charge the room and then play Rich Man's Volley. And that is that fight over. Now I equip the old revolver. And we are going to take the power of wealth from the Chairman. So we got the power of truth back from getting all the memory tokens. And we got the power of fortitude from Lance, and we got the power of compassion from the Prince. Now that we have all 4, we can combine them into the game cartridge. And fight's over. So, we have one thing left to do. It's more like a chain of events, but we are going to try to blow the dust out of the cartridge and then get stopped by Lenna's children, Azurflail and Pentaluchis. They're going to be like, there's gotta be another way that we can do this. Lenna punches the game card, opening up a debug menu. We go to Dungeon 9, which is the Archangel School, which is where we started the run. if you go into Lenna's bedroom at the start of the run where 8 Fridge is now, there's her scythe from her Archangel form, which we will be seeing in this fight. But now 8 Fridge is there, and 8 Fridge takes the glasses. So, time is not going to be immediately after this fight. There is 2 screens after it, but still do be ready for me to call that. This is definitely my favorite fight in the whole game. I love the chaotic energy, I love the music. Now, here's the Elder. I need to hit him apparently one more shot. That lets me spare him. I'm going to unequip my defense tunic and unequip everything that deals damage to defeat the Lenna clones. Equip the axe because now we're fighting Lance, and hopefully Lance will let me save him. He doesn't always let me save him. Sometimes he just decides to take a few extra hits of damage. But we actually were able to save him. That's awesome. So this is, to me, the best possible ending you can get. You can also spare the Chairman and Delvin, but honestly, I don't like this. So you know what? This is the best ending because this is the happiest ending. Because Lance and the Elder are all fine and dandy. And there is very adorable romance that happens in the final cutscene. And there's Lenna's Archangel form. Time is when I pull the pizza out of the fridge. Time.
GG's.
I will gladly take a 5605 IGT with how mean some of those dungeon layouts were. Yeah, very cute ending cutscene. The Prince and Lance live happily ever after. Lenna and Paige live happily ever after. The Elder's still alive. Azra Flail is going to defend the kingdom. And Tentaluchus gets all the pizza that he could ever want. So everyone's happy here. Few real quick shout-outs. Shout-outs to everyone putting on this super cool event for having me. I'm always really, really happy to have the chance to show off Lenna's Inception. It is one of my all-time favorite games. It means so much to me, and I love running it for marathons, and I love playing it so much. Shoutouts to Bitten Studio for not only creating Lenna's Inception, but also creating Cassette Beasts, which is another one of my all-time favorite games. Really, really amazing stuff that they are always putting out. Shoutouts to the Lenna's Inception speedrunning community for being super, super cool. Shoutouts to everyone from my small, little, cute community around my streams. Shameless plug, you can find me on Blue Sky, Twitch, and YouTube at SnowballSMB. And lastly, shout out to my older sister for pestering me enough to get me to watch a speedrun that resulted in me speedrunning like an absurd amount because it's so awesome and so cool. And also for convincing me to play this game. I would not be speedrunning, and I would definitely not be speedrunning this game without her, so I'm very, very grateful. But yeah, thanks to, again, everyone for having me at this event. I had a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that run. It was a blast to watch. I understood, I think, roughly half of what was going on stream, but that's honestly exactly how I like my host shifts. Stick around. We will be. Yep. Stick around. We will be right back with more Quest for Quet very shortly. All right, so while we're setting up for our next run, Pokemon Crystal Randomizer by Limey, which is going to be an absolute blast, I have the little host friend in here. Suku,
Hello.
how are you doing?
Hi, Sawa. I was in setup with Lemmy and their commentator Laurie D. Bunnykins, and let me tell you, chat, the energy for Pokemon Crystal Randomizer is going to be unhinged. We're just here. We're gonna have a good time. We are raising money for Trainer Anade's next service dog, which is what you're here for too, right? Both you, Sawa, and the chat?
Absolutely. Yeah, once again, everyone, this is Quest for Quet, a mutual aid event helping a friend of the community, Trainer Nade, to train and raise their next service animal, Quetzalcoatl, also known as Quet.
Honestly, that's such a good name. If you
It's a
happen
really
to
good
know,
name.
it really is. I love mythology. And if you happen to have met Trainer Anade in person, because they have been to in-person events at GDQs, or whether just from some of the many, many speedrunning events in the community that they help out for, you'll know that their previous dog was named Perseus, affectionately known as Percy. And so Cat is just continuing that trend.
hmm
Um, but speaking of what we're here for and raising money, we're also here for video games. And so, I mean, we mentioned Pokemon Crystals coming up, and right after that is Jet Set Radio Future. And we just had an incentive for that open up during the last run because, chat, you've all been so amazing. You've raised $270 so far. And now, with an additional $105, we get more marathon time if we meet our next incentive.
And who doesn't like more marathon? I like
Me,
more marathon
I
at
don't like
least.
more marathon. I
I
thought
like
this
more
was a speed
marathon.
run event. We go
Oh,
fast.
you have a point there. Going
So
fast is cool. I think I like more marathon though still.
so going fast. I mean, yeah, you do have a good point. So how about this? We'll split the difference. Chat, you go fast. You get our next incentive met, and Sabo and the rest of you who like more marathon will get more marathon. I'll be happy because someone went fast, and everyone else will be happy because more marathon. And well, speaking of more marathon, though, I do hear that we are about ready for our next run here, Pokemon Crystal Randomizer. But I mean, Sawa, you've been so great to listen to here on Host. Your first time hosting. Sorry, not first time. I was there with you for your first time
Yeah,
hosting. Wow.
first time hosting for an online marathon at least.
Yeah, and so you know what, I would love it if you did my job for me and helped introduce our next run.
Yeah. Pokemon Crystal Randomizer by Limey coming up very shortly. We still have a little bit to go before that run is ready to go. But yeah, I'll get that set up and be right back with you all very shortly.
All right, and while we're here, we're just waiting to get that set up because Pokemon Crystal is going to be a time, and we want to make sure y'all have the best time with us. Let's continue talking a little more about that Jet Set Radio Future Incentive. Because, chat, again, we just opened that up. If we reach $375 total raised for wow. Talking is hard. The quest for Quet. We will change the Jet Set Radio Future Run from a 1v1 lockout bingo between Shovel Claws and Van to a co-op run. And aren't we all here together to do good together? But speaking of together, we've got gang here together. So one more time, Sawa, show me how it's done.
Absolutely.